Hey, welcome everybody. This morning I have the distinct pleasure of speaking to one of the premier bankers in Charleston, South Carolina, none other than Mr. Sean Halloran of First National Bank. He is here to speak with us and share insight on the best possible route to secure business financing, whether it be for a duplex, whether it be for a business, whatever it is that you require financing for, Sean is here to help you. Sean, thank you so much for joining the Sueham podcast. Please introduce yourself and again, tell everybody what bank you are representing this morning.
Well, my name is Sean Halloran, and I am with First National Bank, and I am actually a branch manager and also a business banker. So we have a neat model here at First National where none of our managers are just sit and observe or sit and coach. We are all producing managers. So I'm very actively working with our commercial clients, but then also working with my team here in the branch.
Awesome sauce. I was checking out your profile on LinkedIn and you are so excited about what you do.
Yeah.
No, and I got to tell you, because that's like a rarity. I'm very passionate about people who are excited about what they do. And I've never seen that in banking before.
Well, I think the big piece of it for me that is so exciting is to see business development and community development, because I'm one of these kind of people. I feel like when we have a little bit of success, everybody should get to share in on it. Mm-hmm. So I love seeing businesses locate to this area. I love seeing my colleagues be successful. I love seeing people out in the business community getting promoted and sort of working up through the chains of command. And really, that's where I can come in to help, because I do a lot of planning with small businesses, do a lot of coaching directly with entrepreneurs and business owners to make sure that they are really set up to be successful in the market that they're in, and really and truly in the genre of business that they're in.
Awesome sauce. So let's talk about, because I'm in the real estate. I was really heavy in the game in 2006. The market crashed 2008, 2009. Yeah. And so I'm back in it now, purchased some land and also purchased a duplex recently. Okay. What type of programs do you have for real estate investors if they're looking to purchase a duplex, triplex, or quad, or even go commercial, 5 units or higher?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the biggest piece of advice that I would give someone in that position is, first, even outside of the bank, make sure you have actually set up yourself as a business LLC. Talk to a lot of people that are already 3 or 4 properties deep, and they've done everything in their own name. And there's a whole host of reasons why you want it to actually be set up as a business. Some tax protections when you're set up as an LLC, definitely some personal protections. But if you are looking to continue to borrow money, finance this through traditional banks or traditional credit unions, you have much better chances if you're doing it through an established business. And when you can actually show, if you're renting those businesses out, or if you're renting out those homes that you purchased, that you show that rental income. If you're making improvements, that you've shown those improvements have run through the business. But that's the biggest piece of advice I could give somebody, because I find so many people who have almost gone in too deep doing everything differently. And I say, no, you need to legitimize yourself as a business.
What about somebody who's just getting into it and they want to buy their first duplex or triplex and, they haven't established an LLC yet? Can they still come to your bank and maybe potentially get a loan? And if so, what are the requirements?
Yeah, there's some different options, because people can do it actually on the mortgage side. If they're actually to buy it specifically in their own name, that is always a very traditional option. But the other key part of it is, if someone does start to establish that business entity that they're going to run these real estate transactions through, that opens up to being able to finance on the small business side. And on the small business side, most of the time, banks will work with someone helping them get up to their first 10 properties. Then if they're owning more than 10 properties and looking to invest more and more, they may actually be upgraded into what we call commercial banking.
Gotcha.
With a little bit of an expanded, larger space, but never stop asking for advice. That's the biggest thing. And I always tell people, find other people who are in the same game that you are in, other people who are developing real estate, other people that are investing. Get the opinion of 2 or 3 different bankers, because you want to be making very financial sound decisions and ultimately make sure you're doing something that's going to be profitable for you. We love doing business for fun, but hey, it's great if you can turn a profit.
I love that. You said something, and I was unaware of that. I didn't know that you could get small business funding for duplexes, triplexes, or quads, even if it's just one building. So you definitely have to have an LLC for that. I thought that perhaps you'd have to have an established business, show where you're 2 or 3 properties deep, like you said, before you could actually get the small business funding. So you're saying that's not the case?
Well, and the big thing where I always tell people to get that entity established early is because doors open up when you have 2 years of file tax returns.
Yeah.
You can get that entity in place, even if you are the only investor at the time, even if you're the only member of the LLC, that it's much, much easier, and doors will open for you when it looks like you have been in business for 2 years and you filed 2 years of tax returns. And I always say, I think people start to think, oh, if I'm going to be borrowing money in the name of the business, now it goes out the window for me to have good credit. It's actually the polar opposite. Even though we'll start cataloging, loans and lines of credit in the name of the business, the person who owns those will still serve as the guarantor. So you make sure that you are making good decisions with your credit. If you don't have a lot of established credit, or you've already gotten into the realm of I've made some bad decisions, I probably need to clean up some, then again, seek out the advice of a professional person who can help you improve your credit score, because even though it won't show, if you're buying in the name of a business, it won't reflect on your personal credit report. Every time that you are actually getting out a new loan or a new line, they will look at your personal credit history as the guarantor for that business that you own. So I think sometimes people feel like, oh, it's a get out of jail free card. I no longer have to worry about personal credit. It'll be in the name of the business. But man, your strong, solid credit history is your golden ticket.
Awesome. So typically, if someone is looking to purchase, let's say, just a quad for $200,000, what would be the general down payment?
For a purchase like that, because it's still considered slightly risky compared to some of this, because of the impact of what renting can look like. You might have someone sign a 5-year lease, and then 3 months into it, they have to break it because they're got moved with their job or something like that. So anytime that something does have a little bit more of a risk factor to it, you should expect to have a larger down payment. So I tell people, it's something where you might be saving your pennies for a while, but get to a 20% down payment if you can. There's some things that you can do through the Small Business Administration where there's some specialized loan programs where you might be able to get down to a 7% down payment. But when you do that, you're going to have higher interest rates and often some fees involved that would not be involved if you can get to sort of that magic number of a 20% down payment.
Gotcha. And so right now with COVID, we know we're seeing tremendously low interest rates. Typically, yes. What are the average interest rates you're seeing right now through First National?
Well, we're going to see anything really from the low 3s into the low 4s in the small business space. And people usually are pretty familiar with what a loan looks like on the personal side. They probably bought a car and financed it before, or bought a home and financed it before. On the small business side, things work a little bit differently, where your rate is locked in either for a 5-year term or a 10-year term, but it's still amortized, or the payments are still broken out like it's going to be a 20-year term. So you get the benefit of knowing your rate is locked in for either 5 years or 10 years, but you don't have to think, oh my gosh, my payment's going to be huge because that's such a short period of time. It's actually spread out over a 20-year cycle for repayment. And when your 5-year term expires or your 10-year term expires, each bank is different. At First National, we go in and start a renewal process where you don't have to pay for a new appraisal, you don't have to pay for a new closing.
Wow.
It's truly looking at just renewing that existing loan. We do that here because we want to retain and maintain those small business clients. Some banks and some credit unions will say, that 5-year rate you were locked into is up. We've got to restructure this entire loan again. Or that 10-year lock is up. We need to look at completely rewriting this and seeing where you're at right now. So again, it's a good time to do your homework and know not even just what's important right now, but what's going to be important 5 or 10 years down the road for you.
Right, and that's so true. And that 5 and 10 years comes really quickly, because I remember I had a 5-year balloon payment, and I was thinking I had all the time in the world. And that balloon payment came up like, wow, it seemed like 24 hours. So you're absolutely right. I thank you so much. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I just want to say thank you for doing this interview. Like I said, you're very passionate about what you do. I was checking you out on LinkedIn. I guess I'm going to give you 2-3 minutes to just give some final words and tell people how they can find you.
Definitely. Well, you can find me. I love when I get connections on LinkedIn. It's great to see what other people are doing in the business community, and to your point, to see what they're passionate about. So you can definitely search me, Sean Holleran, on LinkedIn here in Charleston, South Carolina. You can always find out more about our bank online. The website is actually our acronym. So for First National Bank, it's fnb-online.com. Has tremendous resources there. We actually have a program called the Solution Center. And in the Solution Center, you can plug in information about yourself personally. You can plug in information about your business, and it will actually show you what services or what products might benefit you the most based on what you're currently doing. Something I always have to brag on a little bit, we are the bank that loves small businesses. Lots of banks love you once you get into the commercial space. So if you're making $5 million a year in revenue, every bank is beating down your door. They're not necessarily harboring that same relationship if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're a mom and pop business that's never going to do more than $50,000 a year in revenue. They may not have that level of interest. We come in really as the small business advocate, because we know they are the backbone of our local economy.
Yes.
I would much rather have 20 relationships with businesses that are actually based right here in South Carolina than to have one huge relationship with a company based thousands of miles away that could very easily pick up and leave and go somewhere else. I love those small town relationships. And because of that, we do have very competitive pricing for small businesses. We still have a free small business account. We still have a free nonprofit account.
Wow.
So for a lot of banks, it has become the century of feeing people to death. That is not the way I like to operate. That is not the way my bank operates. We like to make sure that you actually have tools to be successful. The relationship's going to be more profitable to me as your banker if I've actually helped you be successful. So I really have a heart for small business. The most amazing thing is from 9 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock in the evening when I'm wrapping up, I might have talked to a manufacturer, I might have talked to a nonprofit, I might have talked to a retailer, might have talked to a church. So it's fascinating just to be here, the different folks in the community that we can step out and help. Definitely accessible through any sort of digital channel. I laugh. I say we live in the age where I have clients message me on Instagram, message me on Facebook. However, I definitely prefer a phone call or an email. But I can be reached at 843-256-1700. And my email is my last name and my first initial. So it's Holleran, HOLLERANS, at fnb-corp.com. And in this modern age, my email comes to my phone. So literally, if you email me at 11 o'clock on Sunday night, if it's something I can help you with right then and there, I am online helping you at that time. So I think it's just something that you have to have that strong relationship with your lender, with your banker. And just because technology has gotten better, that does not mean that your relationship value should be shrinking. If anything, we leverage technology, but we still cling to the fact that we have great interpersonal relationships.
Awesome sauce. I love that. I really love that. So what region do you serve?
Really, I can help anyone in the state of South Carolina. And I actually have a few clients up in North Carolina, but definitely have a big presence here in Charleston, big presence in Greenville. But got some great clients in Florence, got some great clients down in Hilton Head. And again, speaking to the point of how impactful technology is, I've got clients that I may see through Zoom, I may email back and forth, but realistically, they may only need to see me face to face once or twice a year. And I think that really speaks to the digital channels that we can use and the technology that the bank provides for their relationship. But if you're in South Carolina, I want to be your resource.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really, truly appreciate it. And anyone who's listening to this podcast, please contact Sean at First National Bank right now. He'll take really great care of you.
Thank you, Sue. It was great talking with you.
Likewise.